What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel again. So at the moment I'm sort of on house lockdown while I wait for the young fella to arrive, which he still hasn't arrived yet. So as you can imagine, I'm sort of sitting around home waiting for him to get here with not much to do. So thought I could make a few videos while I'm at home, so I apologise for the lack of visual stimulus once again, but I'm sure you can sympathise. I'd rather at least do this than sit around doing nothing while I wait. So one of the questions I've been getting asked fairly frequently as of late, since we started doing a bit more videos and touching on it a fair bit more, is how I learnt how to tune, or how we know how to tune. I thought I'd make an entire video on this just because I figure it's best to give out as much information for people to base their opinion or whatever on. You know, it's the internet, people do it anyway. Best thing you can do is give them as much information as you can to base those opinions on what they think on. So I suppose our knowledge of tuning and how we know how to tune and got interested in tuning goes way back to when we were younger. Rex and I raced dirt bikes, you know, motocross, enduro, that sort of thing. So we've always been very interested in that from that sort of background. Our old man's always been into cars. You know, back when he was our age, he was young, he was into cars. His father was a mechanic, so naturally it sort of just progressed down the line. And you know, being young at the races, always trying to have your bike that just runs crisp as it made all the difference. And you know, back when we were racing motocross and high compression 4-stroke dirt bikes sort of were just coming onto the scene, you're talking you know, 13 to 1 comp 4-stroke motorcycle engine that revs to 12,000 RPM. They were a wild thing, and it was really important to have them jetted perfectly. So we're talking way before any sort of EFI or anything was in the picture as well. We were just really interested in tuning carbs and having a really crisp running engine, because you know, you can tell as soon as you hear a bike that's not jetted properly and a bike that is, how strong that power band was and how crispy they were. So that was sort of where it all started from, I suppose. As soon as we were old enough to get our hands on car engines and stuff, we were. Dad was always there to help us through it all. He's a very knowledgeable bloke, our old man. He's been around for a long time. So we sort of started off in, you know, old Holdens and stuff like that, carby vehicles. Same thing, we're tuning carbs, just trying to keep everything nice and crispy, and you know, just having a well-built carburetor that works well for the engine. So that's where it all started. Naturally, eventually, you know, we got old enough and fuel injection sort of became a thing. Admittedly, we were always, you know, the carby V8 people, pushrod V8s. That was who we sort of were. What we were really based on where we come from. Back in 2012, Rex built that 400 small block that was in the blue Raucus 1-tonner, and that was a really nice high compression engine. Very well built motor, and yeah, Rex sort of had that thing running absolutely crisp all the time, and you used to get a lot of comments talking about how crisp that thing used to run and how responsive it was. So yeah, that thing always sort of sounded really on song, and that's our base of understanding of tuning. Obviously, like I keep telling you guys, is we've actually been doing this for a lot longer than we've been filming it and putting on the internet. As much as it's easy to people to come across a channel and think that's all it is. So the channel was sort of subsequent to what we do. We've actually been doing this and been very interested in it for a long time. So, you know, naturally from there we progressed into a lot of interest into EFI tuning. So we had, yeah, a lot of interest in EFI tuning and doing our own vehicles, and obviously from there ended up going into sort of turbos and boost, you know, and being interested in that as well. So we were lucky enough through all those years to have some really good mentors and a lot of really good knowledge around. So not only that, Rex and I were also always quite academic. We always had a massive appreciation for, you know, forces and for what's actually going on inside engines. So we always had the knowledge of the theory as well, which helped us a long way. So to be fair, it was probably our, you know, our knowledge and our understanding of motors and our interest in motors that actually led us down that road of having that academic aptitude and that real good grasp on physics and forces. And so naturally we've always been able to apply the theory to the practice, and you know, had a really good understanding of engines and how they work, which ultimately led us into a great understanding of fuel injection and tuning and how to sort of maximize your efficiency and what to do with your motor. So it was very lucky for us that through all that we had some really good mentors, where if we had our own inquisition we could ask the question, and we had a lot of really good feedback through those people. So Shane, the bloke we bought our dyno off, we've been good mates with him for a very long time, and he's one of those people that's always given really good advice to us. So, you know, if ever we had, you know, questions about stuff like that, we'd always be able to ask him or give him our opinion, and we would generally find that a lot of the times we were right or on the right track, which sort of led us down that path of really wanting to pursue this for a career and start doing it ourselves. So not only him, obviously like I was saying, my old man, he's been in the game for a long time, he's been around cars forever. Not so much interested anymore, he's old, he's past it now, but having him around all the time was awesome. And not only that, is he's got a lot of really good friends that were also, you know, real big back in the day into drag racing, and that boat also had a lot of speed shops and shops that built motors and that sort of thing around. So naturally we've always had really good help as far as our understanding. We've always had a lot of experience at hand where we could, you know, form the idea academically or think about it, and then take it to someone who had the experience and be able to get feedback on what we were thinking. So that's pretty much how we ended up getting our basic knowledge and understanding into tuning, and we've always had a pretty good grasp on where to go with it. Obviously that's what led us down the path of buying the dyno. So, you know, naturally you wouldn't expect someone who had no idea on the how to do it to go and fork out so much money for all the gear, which is one thing that sort of has confused me about a lot of the comments that I have been receiving sometimes. I understand we're pretty goofy and we don't always come across that professional. We're very sarcastic people, so we make a lot of jokes that probably don't translate. But yeah, no, we have been very interested in this for a very long time. We do have a very good understanding of what we're doing, and we're having a lot of fun with this dyno. It's awesome. So we're at a point now where all we're really trying to do is you know, use our knowledge and what we've got to learn all the different softwares for different ECUs now. So it's been a lot of fun. Obviously not so much the Microtechs, I reckon they can all go in the bin. But you know, tuning Adam's Link, that was awesome. That was really good fun. It was really good to finally get a really good look and go through all the Link ECU. I've always sort of liked the software. I've had to set up a few cars and do a few things with Link, but I've never been able to go through a complete tune. And especially that car of Adam's, we didn't have any injector data at all. So I had to leave it in a traditional fueling mode based on the 2J. So it's actually set up in traditional mode based on a 3-litre engine, which managed to get us fairly close to the VE table. But it's quite hard to do a complete VE tune with 0 injector data. So that was a bit of a challenge, admittedly, for our first car, and that car it took us a long time to tune overall. But like I was saying during the videos, I really just wanted to take the time and make sure that tune was really nice. Honestly, I'd still like to get that car back on the rollers and spend another day on it. But a tune's one of those things where it's never really finished. A tune's one of those things where you can always improve on it if you have the right tools to do so. But yeah, that tune at Adams, I would really like to try and persuade Adam to get a decent set of injectors that we actually have data for, and retune that and possibly go to some ethanol and go a bit more boost. But beside the point, obviously Rex more so than myself. Rex is a big LS guy. Obviously I love LSs, but Rex has owned and done a lot of work on LSs, a lot more than myself. So Rex has got a really good understanding of HP tuners. He's done a lot of playing around with HP tuners and doing LS tunes. We've done, you know, a fair bit of playing around with PCM Tech now, which is our Ford software. You know, doing Rex's XR6 Turbo and a few other things. So that's a bit of a hard one, along with, so I've been told, the Gen 4 LS, because of the, you know, the lack of a VE map, so in such the words, and the inability to real-time tune on both of them. But don't quote me on that. Like I said, Rex knows a lot more about those two than I do. Rex has had a lot more to do with PCM Tech and stuff than I have personally. But again, it's just one of those things where we're really interested to keep learning all these new softwares. They're one and the same, really. It's just that they're all mapped out differently, have different terminology and that sort of thing. There's a few things that are hard to get used to, and how to set up different parameters on different ECUs using different softwares, etc, etc. So I've got a fair few Haltechs coming up. I'm meant to be doing the next couple of weeks. You know, once Little Man's here and he's settled and I get back to the workshop and start working again. I've got a fair few people that want me to do some Haltech stuff. I've got an Elite 2500 coming up, an Elite 2000 coming up, and a Platinum Sport 2000 that I'm meant to be doing very soon. Plus we've got Josh is getting his AE82. He's actually decided to get an Elite 550 in that as well. So I'll be playing with a fair bit of Haltech soon. I've had the Haltech software since almost the release of the Elites, and I've been doing a lot of playing around with the software. I've done a lot of playing around with it, and yeah, it's looking really good. So I'm pretty excited to get hold of one of them ECUs and actually have a full tune on a Haltech as well. So yeah, that's the other thing, guys. Like, I spend a lot of time on my computer. Obviously with YouTube, I've been spending a lot of time editing lately. Almost all of my time at home has been spent editing. But even like all through school and uni, I'd spend so much time just sitting on my computer just researching. My biggest thing I can tell people is to stay away from a lot of the social media stuff. You can waste hours sitting on social media doing nothing that actually benefits you at all. So try and stay away from that. You know, jump on your computer and start just researching what you have in your head and start putting dots together. I did it for years. I would spend 5 hours a day sitting on my computer just researching stuff and learning. It's very much just about your own interests and what you want to learn. At the end of the day, if you want to learn something well enough, you will. And yeah, it's just a matter of what you can actually read and put together in your head on your own. There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet, so don't just go believing everything you read. But if you've got a general understanding of what you're looking at, you can generally read through so many forums and feedback and people and articles and write-ups. And that's the other thing, me and Rex used to so many magazines back in the day. We used to have subscriptions to every single magazine and read them all. So, you know, if you've got a general understanding, you can take all that data, you can collate it and come to your own understanding and your you know, make up your own mind and work it out that way. So anyway, that's pretty much an answer to the question. In a long term is pretty much where it all started and why we had that interest and how we developed our interest and knowledge in tuning. And yeah, obviously we still got a lot to learn. I believe everyone has a lot to learn. I'm one of those massive advocates for everyone has heaps to learn. I don't believe anyone knows everything. But yeah, it's been heaps of fun, having a lot of fun with the dyno, and you know, we're still pretty young, so admittedly, a lot of the stuff we've been doing lately is a lot of budget stuff. But anyone who knows or understands about building a business, you sort of have to go through that phase where you've got to do that sort of work to build your portfolio and get some credit and actually move into some more higher end stuff. So not that I don't believe that we have the ability to do a lot of this higher end stuff. That's why I really want to build some of our own cars that are going to be more sort of business card, look at what we did sort of thing. Things like the Trans Am and stuff like that are going to be really good for, you know, showing our ability and what we can actually do. Admittedly, like since we started the channel, all we've really done is a lot of budget stuff, and that's just coincidental with the fact that the reason we started the channel was because that was about when we decided we wanted to go into doing this full time. So that was when both of us sort of started to slow up on our other work. Neither of us have really had the money we were having back then because we made that sacrifice to try and chase what we're trying to do now. So we're starting to get to the point now where we've finally got the gear and we're finally starting to sort of get the business rolling and get some more money coming in the door. So we do have a lot more of our own, you know, higher end sort of stuff that we want to build now that we have the money coming in. But, you know, before we started the channel, you know, we had the Blue Ute. That was really high end, really big dollar small block. We've got a multiple sort of pretty big dollar big blocks lying around. So it hasn't always just been build and slap together trash. It wasn't always like that. It just has been the past couple of years while we're trying to sort of make it work and have some fun without, you know, spending all the money because we were trying to set up this business the way we're setting it up. So that's hope that sort of answers all your questions. And yeah, I hope you're enjoying the ride, and we're pretty keen to keep going and keep learning a lot more about all these different softwares and keep sort of developing our knowledge of tuning and keep getting towards that end goal of, you know, setting up the shed and the shop exactly how we want and being able to do this for a living and make a pretty good name for ourselves. So one more thing that I should probably touch on is that I personally have not actually watched any of the tuning workshop from Horsepower Academy yet. Now I know Andre's a very knowledgeable guy. I've been following Horsepower Academy High Horsepower Academy. I can't remember what it's actually called, High Power Academy maybe. But I've been following that channel for a very long time. I remember back before he even started doing the webinars, it would have been about 5 years ago, I think he actually started doing the webinars. Back when Andre just used to go around places like SEMA and talk to people at shows about new products and that. And he's a very cluey dude, and I would really like to watch his tuning workshops. Rex actually has signed up for the membership to watch them. We just literally have not had time yet. And that's one of the reasons I sort of wanted to get away from doing daily uploads on YouTube, is because they're starting to eat away into a lot of that time that I used to use for doing that stuff and further learning and doing things like that. So, you know, doing daily uploads on YouTube, they pretty much take up all of my spare time. And like I've been saying, with young fella on the way, I'm going to have family as well. It's going to be too hard to balance and continue to develop my own academic knowledge and understanding of what we're trying to achieve with the business. At the end of the day, my main goal is not to go full-time with YouTube. Again, YouTube was just sort of a subsequent thing that I thought would be a lot of fun, which it is, and I really like it. But my main goal was to really get on some performance off the ground and do some really cool builds and build some really nice, quick cars. So that's another reason that's all come about, and I would like to hopefully very soon start to watch a bit of that Horsepower Academy stuff. and actually sort of hopefully, I know there's a lot I can learn from Andre there, and probably a lot I can learn from those webinars. So as of yet, haven't watched any of them. I've watched a couple of the free ones on YouTube every now and then, but yeah, I haven't actually watched the actual webinars thus far. But yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there. So haven't done that yet. Keen to do that very soon. Thanks for watching. Smash like, smash subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.